because I tell you what, the whole picture around Russell Martin, and I think he's toast. Because I don't know how you win the supporters back from the position that he's in. And I have no faith in the tactics and the formation and the style of play that Rangers are trying to implement right now. That you see nothing there that makes you think they are capable of going on a run. They've just been a little bit unlucky. They've not really been unlucky. They've been dreadful. I don't think they were great against Hibs, but Nico Raskin was the difference maker. But it got him. It got him the result that he really needed. Follow that up with a win over Genk, then go to Livingston and win, and all of a sudden you just might get a bit of breathing space.
Yeah.
But that's the only thing that's going to work here for Rangers. It is win and win consistently, and then you might slowly start to win back some of the hearts and minds. But even then, it's a real long shot.
Again, it's completely hypothetical, but if they'd lost to Hibs on Saturday, do you think he would have been officially out the door?
Well, this is a difficult thing. I wrote a column today, Dan, about this really. And what's difficult to gauge or to predict is we don't know what makes Andrew Kavanagh tick yet as an owner.
Well, just on that, Keith, sorry to jump in, but on your column, I was reading it earlier, and if you're a Rangers fan, it's prescribed reading. Andrew Kavanagh might not have been around long enough to know he's been sold a pup, but the supporters sure have.
Yeah. And so Andrew Kavanagh, every day's a school day right now. He's got to learn a lot and he's got to learn quick. And I'm going to come back to it. I've said it for how many months? I said it from the start. It'll get worse before it gets better, because these people will have to acclimatise themselves, familiarise themselves with the environment, with the football club, with the demands. It's not as easy as they probably had hoped that it might be. But that, for me, was always likely to be the case. And I think they've made mistakes, and quite a few of them thus far. But the question is, we've got nothing to kind of, no metric on which to base what Andrew Kavanagh's behaviour is likely to be like in a situation like this. So I would have thought, Russell Martin's position, I've already said it. I don't know. I think he's walking the green mile. I don't think there's really a way, a realistic way back for him. But what's interesting, I actually felt the protests against him were real. That was some rough stuff.
Yeah.
Some of the words that were being tossed around, the venom. I mean, it was beyond toxic. So what makes Andrew Kavanagh tick? Is he a guy with a business empire? Does he pride himself on having a duty of care for his employees? If so, then perhaps he'll be minded to, almost double down against those sort of protests and protect the guy as his employee. He might still be actually convinced that Russell Martin can do exactly what he requires him to do as a head coach. I would think that sort of set of beliefs would have to have been shaken pretty badly over the first few weeks of the season. If he still believes that, then good luck to him. But in terms of how he deals with Russell Martin and this situation on a purely human level, that's going to be interesting. And you wonder, and I've seen it done. I have seen it done where, it wasn't that long ago when the Celtic fans were protesting what Neil Lennon sacked, and Dermot Desmond just dug his heels in and said, I'm not going to be dictated to by a support behaving like this in full-scale rebellion. And so sometimes they go, it has the opposite effect from the one the fans are trying to achieve. The owner can go a different way. Now, we don't know enough about Andrew Kavanagh yet to say with any certainty how he's likely to respond in a situation like this. He could go one of two ways, obviously. I would have thought if he was going to give the supporters Russell Martin's head in a plate, he would have done that. And he would have done that when he got off the plane, maybe even ahead of the weekend game. I feel that there's no rush to give into the supporters, if you want. And so I think Andrew Kavanagh's probably sitting there, fingers crossed, hoping there's a bit of a bounce. Rangers get a result against Genk, and he can go back to Philadelphia and leave the noise behind him for a while. If it goes badly against the Belgians, and by the way, this is a Belgian side. Where are they sitting? Third bottom of the Belgian league right now.
Third bottom, aye.
It's hardly a popcorn match, is it? But yeah, it's so fascinating that it could be. Rangers get a win, get this kind of elongated group stage off to the best possible start, and maybe they do start to get a bit of momentum, and maybe Russell Martin comes back from, I think he's beyond the brink, which would be quite incredible in itself. But as I said, in order to believe that that's possible, you need to have seen enough evidence on the pitch with your own eyes to think, yeah, they're going places. And Russell Martin came out after the game at the weekend and talked about how that looked like the Rangers performance that he wants to see, and uses these sort of buzzwords and catchphrases. He's kidding himself on with that one. But he won't. There's no washing with the supporters. The supporters know what they watched. It was better. It was a slight improvement on what they've been watching, but it wasn't great. It was nowhere near it. It was nowhere near the sort of level of performance you expect to see from a Rangers side at home in a cup quarter final. It was nowhere near it.